The drama in the air is palpable. The final round underway and a move being made by England's young star, Lee Westwood. That was a birdie at the fourth. But 25 years old, he'll turn 26 in 2 weeks, playing in his third Masters. Up ahead to the seventh, eyeing another birdie for Westwood, and he climbs to -5. Jose Maria Olazabal led this tournament by 1 when the day began, but at the fourth, just a moment ago, in the front bunker, he left it in the sand and went on to make bogey. He got it up and down the next time from the sand and made bogey to drop back to -5. 2 bogeys on the day for Olazabal. Now at the ninth, here's Westwood. Look at that touch. Countryman Nick Faldo has won 3 green jackets, but he is now the man shouldering the hope of Great Britain. And Westwood is the co-leader at 5 under par. Just a moment ago, over at 4, Greg Norman opened with par at 1, par at 2, a bogey at 3, and this just an attempt to get down in 2 to save par. Brilliant execution by Shark at the fourth. So can you believe it? We join you with 4 players tied at 5 under par, including Greg Norman, going after that ever-elusive green jacket. Olazabal hoping to win a second green coat. Lee Westwood and Steve Pate, who shot 65 yesterday. Look at all the players in contention in the final round here at the 1999 Masters.
The dreams of champions have often been realized in the Garden of Augusta. But one dream, harbored half a world away, has never made the successful journey from where it began to where it ends, from Australia to Augusta. In 1981, Greg Norman finished 4th in his first Masters. Clearly, the green jacket was not far away. He could have won in 1986, but a final hole bogey left him 1 behind his boyhood idol, Jack Nicklaus. He should have won the following year, but fell this time to a Larry Mize miracle. What was happening to the dream? And then there was 1996, where he crumbled to the suffocating pressure and the unrelenting Nick Faldo. The dream was all but shattered. One could only wonder if one day he would get one last shot to defeat adversity and even the match with fate. Today, Greg Norman arrived on the grounds at Augusta, facing perhaps the round that will define his legacy. But there are others with that same quest. Ernie Els, Lee Janzen, Davis Love III, Jose Maria Olazabal. Is this the day Greg Norman at last wears the green jacket?
CBS Sports proudly presents The Masters.
The serenity of this setting, the full spectrum of springtime, so much a part of this landscape, the sounds of Augusta, it all adds up to a national treasure. But they can all be so beguiling. Don't be deceived, folks, because this picture of tranquility is clearly not for the timid nor for the fearful-hearted. It will test your faith like no other course in the world. And we are live with the action at the 5th hole. This hole has been birdied only once today through 54 players, and Greg Norman is one of 4 leaders playing with Olazabal in the final pairing. Lee Westwood up ahead, Steve Pate. David Duval was out with an early rally fueled by an eagle at the 2nd, but then returned that eagle with a double bogey about 15 minutes ago over at the 11th. Olazabal, Ken Venturi, this second shot into 5 has always been one of your favorite tests right here.
We used to have to run it up when the head greens got a little softer and they were hitting shorter irons. They could hit it on the top shelf, but we always used to run it up that hill.
That's from 186. And it's going way through the green. Look at this.
That's why you can't hit it on the top shelf if you're going with a long iron.
So consecutive bogeys for Olazabal at 3 and 4. And Greg Norman has 184 in. Peter Kostis, you've been watching the early action, and what about Greg's start? Does it look solid?
Well, it's a little shaky right now, Jim. His putter has served him well so far through the first 3 rounds. He really needs to get that going again today. He's missed some shots left, whether by design or by swing flaw. We have to wait and see.
He had to make a putt of about 6 feet at the 3rd hole for a bogey 5. And he jammed it. Will it stay up? No. This will be the 3rd hole in a row that Norman's faced a first putt of some 40 to 50 feet. Let's head over to Peter Kostis at the 10th.
Camellia, as the hole is known. This is Lee Westwood on the 485-yard par 4. Now a co-leader at 5 under par. This hole has been treacherous today. Asking for it to stay, it will not. It will go down into the 2nd cut. And we have seen all kinds of numbers made here at 10. Only 2 birdies, Fred Couples, David Duval earlier. There's been doubles and triples. Back to 6.
And the par 3 downhill, 192, Steve Pate. All pars to this point for the man who shot 65 yesterday to surge into contention, including a Masters record 7 straight birdies Pate made yesterday at one time. An all-time mark here. We saw the 10th hole, one of the hurdles that Greg Norman will contend with today. He's had trouble there in the past. He doubled it back in '81, first year he was here when he did finish 4th. Doubled it again in '86, bogeyed it in '87 and '96. Hi, everybody. I'm Jim Nance, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to CBS Sports coverage of the Masters for the 44th year. Straight ahead, the dramatic battle for the coveted green jacket, which will be presented right here in Butler Cabin later today. Also ahead, the terrifying pitfalls of Amen Corner, where the Masters can be won or lost in one stroke, and the rapturous ovation that awaits the champion at the 72nd hole. Right now, let's take a look at our pairings for the final round of the Masters. Lee Westwood, who's making the biggest move of all, is playing with Tiger Woods, who has dropped back now to even par. Nick Price and Scotty McCarron. There's Steve Elkington with Colin Montgomery. Colin had it to 4 under after a birdie at 2, but 2 bogeys after that. Bob Estes and Lee Janzen. Carlos Franco with Ernie Els. They had the 240 time. Steve Pate with Davis Love, who bogeyed both 3 and 4 with some shaky iron shots. Olazabal and Greg Norman began, the final group began at 3 o'clock Eastern time. My pleasure to introduce my colleagues. Peter Kostis has the call from the 10th. Bobby Clampett down on Amen Corner. Ken Venturi starts at 13, then we'll head to the 18th. Verne Lundquist over at 14. David Feherty at the par 5 15th. Sean McDonough on the mic at 16. Peter Osterhaus at the now toughened 17th. And Bill McEntee will handle the interviews here in Butler Cabin. We're back out to the 5th. Olazabal's 3rd shot into the bank. And that's not going to be quite good enough. Again, as we saw late in the day yesterday, we're seeing players back up. I mentioned Tiger Woods. He, in fact, now has dropped all the way to +2 at the turn. We pick up Steve Pate's fortunes over at the 6th hole. This is a good look at birdie.
Jim, there's been just one birdie here at 6 today by Mark Brooks much earlier in the day. Very difficult back right hole location on the high plateau. To 10.
Chip shot for Lee Westwood. We all talk about David Duval winning a lot, but Lee Westwood has won 7 times in the past year worldwide. Boy, the second cut of grass here at Augusta National has really come into play this year. The lies, precarious, every one of them. He will have a good 15 feet left for his par. Let's go to 13.
David Duval from 215 yards, taking a chance off the pine straw. Just picked it right off. This is looking good. Oh yes, it'll come back down the hill some. Watch it, come on. Here we go. Here we're coming closer and closer. He's got to erase that double bogey at number 11, but don't sell him out yet. Let's go back to the 5th hole.
And Norman. He's talked all week about his new approach to life, the lesson he learned here in '96. To savor life more, the thousands of responses and well-wishers who tried to reach Greg after he faltered in that final round to Nick Faldo. Missed the cut here in his return in '97 and in '98. And before he entered Thursday's round, he had been 23 over his previous 5 rounds at Augusta. But he's turned the corner now, and we go back out to 10.
Lee Westwood now, superb putter. Member of the '97 European Ryder Cup team, will be again this year. Oh, difficult putt to read. The slope from the clubhouse down to Rays Creek influencing that read. It will be a bogey at best for Lee Westwood at 10. Scoring conditions today incredibly difficult. Would not be a bit surprised for 5 or 6 under par to be a winning total here today. Back to 5.
We're back with the '94 champion Jose Maria, who was born on a farm. Then the family moved just off the golf course at Royal San Sebastian. Grandfather was the greenskeeper there, and later it was his father who took over the honors. So, a 3rd straight bogey, and Olazabal, who has held the lead since Friday, has now dropped the shot back. There was a time yesterday when others controlled it ever so briefly, like Davis Love, before he doubled the 15th. But Olazabal drops behind. Let's go back to Ken Venturi, 13.
Duval on its way for eagle. Got a break. Slow down. This picks up a lot of speed going by that hole. You can't believe how much speed once it gets to that hole it goes by. He hit a courageous second shot. He had a pine cone up against his ball, and he just rifled it on the green. Let's go back to 10.
And the bogey putt for Lee Westwood. A player certainly who will win a major championship before his career is over with. Will it be today? Back to 5.
And now Norman. We've seen Westwood and Olazabal back up yet another stroke, so this to stay in the tie with Steve Pate. Wow. The 3rd through the 6th holes today have been just a brutal stretch. And they've claimed Love, Olazabal, 3 over. He still has the 6th hole to play. Greg has returned 2 to par. So Norman 2 over for the day. Steve Pate is the solo leader. What a story. Yesterday he blazed early, shot 65 and then waited and watched the leaders come back to him. Now he's the leader alone in the final round.
CBS Sports proudly presents The Masters.
Back at the 6th hole, where Greg Norman and Jose Maria Olazabal arrive, trying to steady themselves. This hole today playing 192, an elevated tee. The green sits nearly 50 feet below. Very difficult to get it all the way back to this back right hole location. And that's a common result off the tee here. That'll be a very difficult up and down over the humps. The front of this green, nearly 7 feet lower than the back where the flagstick is today. 2-7.
And coming out of the second cut, which makes this shot considerably more difficult, Steve Pate in the lead on his own. And you can't hold the green really out of that stuff. And that'll be a very, very quick downhiller to 13.
David Duval now for birdie after a fine second shot. Looks how far it went by. Yes, and he gets it to 4. So making up a little bit. Don't sell him out yet. Let's go back to 6.
Olazabal trying to end that string of 3 straight bogeys. Jose Maria thrilled to be paired with Greg Norman today. Said Greg stayed in regular contact with him in 1996 when Jose Maria was sidelined with foot injuries. Got regular phone calls from Greg, a handwritten note, and he really appreciated it. And Jose Maria responded in kind when Norman was sidelined in recent months after shoulder surgery. And that's one of the best of the day. Just one birdie here at 6. But Olazabal will have a great chance.
This for birdie at the par 5 8th. And Bob Estes of Abilene, Texas. Only one back now, playing in his 4th Masters. Bob, collegiate player at the University of Texas. Has a kind of a quiet game. And all of a sudden, one back after a birdie at the par 5 8th. Back to 7.
And Steve Pate. We're going to look at this one from the other side. This will be lightning fast. We'll go to the 8th quickly.
And 2-time U.S. Open champion Lee Janzen. Janzen one back in quest of his first Masters championship. So the battle joined in these severe playing conditions with winds gusting throughout the golf course to the 11th.
Verne today, 455 yards. This newly designed 11th is playing the most difficult today, with the westerly winds gusting to 22 knots at the airport, certainly plaguing the players at Amen Corner. And meanwhile, while we wait to 7,
just taps it, gets it moving. Almost impossible to get it on line. Hit it so softly across the fringe, it wobbles, and even at that pace, that slides some 5 or 6 by. We'll go to the 11th.
and Lee Westwood, second shot from 220. And this whole location that has never been seen at the 11th, back left. for Westwood. Well, they'll have plenty of green to work with in that position. But still, with Rays Creek lurking just beyond the flag today, not an easy task for up and down at all. This green was raised by 2 feet due to past flood problems of Rays Creek, and the result was a new back left pin placement as we move back to 6.
And Greg Norman from just in front of the green, uphill over a big hump. That is the start of the back right plateau. Nicely played, but still a testing putt for par upcoming for Norman. Will this be the day for Greg Norman? The close call in '86 with Nicklaus, the loss to Larry Mize's miraculous chip in 87, his own final round collapse in '96 when Nick Faldo played flawlessly. Now to 7.
Where Steve Pate has covered a lot of yardage around this green, pacing around. He's now got it back up the hill, thankfully, but much longer than he'd like. Not a lot of swing in this. And this one to stay 1 in front. Beautifully done. And that's a confidence builder. This is the 6th.
And Olazabal for birdie. This to tie for the lead. Just the 2nd birdie of the day at 6 at a time when Olazabal really needed it. 2-7.
And earlier, Davis Love hit a rocky patch. And that helps to right the ship. 6 players now tied for 3rd. -4. We'll go back to 6.
Greg Norman is one of those players trying to stay at -4 and within 1 shot of the lead. About 4 feet. This putt should move to his left. And it did, right in the center. Well, that should help both Olazabal and Norman. They were wobbly coming to 6. A birdie for Jose Maria. And a good par for Norman, 14.
And an enormous drive for Duval, but he's out of the 2nd cut and the hole cut back right. Difficult getting spin on it, just off the back edge. Duval thought he might get a roll. It does not. Back to 11.
3rd shot now for Lee Westwood. Slightly uphill lie will come to his advantage. Oh, whoa. And a bit of a break where it's between Rays Creek and the regular water hazard in front of this green. And there's not much room between the two.
Bobby, there's a case where the 2nd cut actually helps somebody for a change.
Exactly. And Lee Westwood still not sure whether his ball is on grass or in water. But it's safe in the 2nd cut. The hole that plagued David Duval made 6 just moments ago here at the difficult 11th. but it's Steve Pate and Jose Maria Olazabal after the birdie at 6, tied for the lead in the final round of the Masters.
We're at the 9th, and Lee Janzen with the second shot. Only one off the lead. And he'll have a good look at birdie. That was from 114 yards. Out to 11.
And now the 4th shot of Lee Westwood. Trying to play a bump and run, and oh no. Westwood, who has only hit 3 out of 11 greens in regulation in this round. Amazing as we move to 14.
And David Duval birdie effort. Eagle at the 2nd today. A double bogey at the 11th. A test of his skill here. It will gather and come back to the left. And Duval, despite a double bogey today and a triple bogey on Friday at the 15th, is only one off the lead. Heavily favored coming in. Had that opening round of 71 and then 74 on Friday. And he has the best round going on the course right now, 3 under for the day, back to 11.
In terms of putting, Lee Westwood has only needed 10 putts in the first 10 holes. But this now for bogey from the fringe. Sizable left to right break. And it was center cut. So the Englishman, who likes to play snooker on the side, has been snookered by the 11th. A double bogey 6, and he now 3 over on the back 9 already. I'm back to 9.
Lee Janzen. This is a putt that will slide to the left at the very end. The reigning United States Open champion, won at Olympic Club last June. This is a range. He is one of the best in golf. This distance right here. Last 25 years, 11 times, player has birdied this hole in the final round and gone on to win the tournament. But for Lee, that's an outward 9 of even par 36. Back to the 7th.
And the 7th hole, 365 yards, par 4. A short par 4 where you really want to be on the fairway here. Second shot steeply uphill. Norman in good shape off the tee, just 120 yards left. Just a wedge, wants to keep it below the hole. Oh. Oh.
My goodness, he made it.
Oh. Well, that's a strange way to get it below the hole. But a fairly straight uphill effort as we go to 14.
Oh, how costly might that prove? David Duval drops a shot, 2 off the lead, and enormous value to be placed today given the playing conditions on getting to the clubhouse and posting a good score early. We go back to the 7th.
Olazabal now, just 100 yards. This will be a sand wedge. And the possibility of some major spin on this one too. Didn't get it. So there you have the difference. And he'll be a little confused and very disappointed with that when he gets up there and sees where it is. And here's another look at Greg Norman's effort. Obviously struck this one right in the center of the club face. Lovely to watch. So Norman will have that one to join Olazabal, Pate and Estes in the lead. And we'll go to the 10th.
And from down below, a partial view of Bob Estes, his tee shot on this downhill 485-yard par 4. Well done, catch the speed slot, propels the ball forward. He'll be in great shape for his second shot into 10, but that's where the difficulties start. Let's go to 12.
Lee Westwood at the par 3, 163 yards today, and so few have been able to find the putting surface. The play today with the pin in its traditional back right is well left of the hole in the center of the green. Let's go to 8.
Steve Pate, second shot on this uphill par 5, measured at 550 yards. Steve Pate, first appearance at Augusta since 1993. Had a couple of top 5 finishes back in the early 90s in 91 and 92. Steve Pate, another of the Californians. And we go to 7.
Our Olazabal, whose ball hung up on the back fringe. Just a little more spin or a better bounce, perhaps a kick up in the air. It might have taken the spin backwards, but such is the nature of the game. Two very similar shots, two completely different results. And this is no fun at all. Just a tiny tap to get it over the fringe. And let it dribble down there. It's going to drift a little right at the hole. And that's a magnificent judge of the pace. So Steve Pate a little earlier, just about got it on the putting surface, and he ran some 5 or 6 feet by. So Olazabal, co-leader, 2 over par today, but makes par at the 7th. Now on the 15th tee, David Duval. If he could post a number, put it up there on that big scoreboard, let the rest of them look at it, who knows? But that's going to be a little difficult to hit the green from there, although the flag is on the back right today. We'll go back to 7. And Greg Norman with a very similar putt to the one we've just seen Steve Pate hole. Not a lot of swing in it. Ideal position to try and make 3. Nope. Always just a little left. And you don't get too many chances like that at the Augusta National, and you feel like he let one slip away there for sure. Norman also 2 over today. So the last pairing on the golf course struggling. We'll go to the 12th.
And Lee Westwood from the back bunker. Missed just a moment ago, and narrowly escaping the coils of Rays Creek. The 12th has played the second ranked most difficult today, to 10.
Where Lee Janzen has 175 yards left, checking the tops of the trees. We'll go back to Davis Love first, though.
And Davis Love's third shot with his great length, just in front of the green in 2, but kind of an indifferent chip shot. We go back to 10.
Janzen is ready, second shot. Well-balanced swing. And a pretty good bounce off the right side, and he'll have about as simple a putt as you can find on this green today for his birdie. Lee Janzen, 2 times U.S. Open champion. I think strategic control, discipline, and patience are parts of his game that really stand out, and that's what this tournament is all about. Let's go to 12.
And Lee Westwood just trying to stop the bleeding. So another bogey for Lee Westwood, proving once again the dangers of Amen Corner. To 10.
Bob Estes, 161 yards. Leaning just a little bit, asking for it to turn. And well done. He will give Lee Janzen a little bit of a read. And one more time, a look at this putt on the 9th hole. Everybody says the tournament starts on the back 9, on the second 9, but boy, how the 9th hole has influenced the results over the years. Back to 8.
And the 4th shot of Davis Love III. And a moment ago you heard that big roar. Let's find out what it was.
Now Tiger Woods. It was 2 years ago that he pitched in on Friday here, and memories repeated. So Tiger finally makes a birdie. To 8.
And Steve Pate, 5 under par. This for birdie at the 8th. Had that amazing round yesterday. 7 consecutive birdies in posting a 65. And he went from a 75 on Friday, a 65 yesterday, and now finds himself on a Sunday afternoon in April as the co-leader. We go to 15.
Where David Duval decided he's going to have a go at this with a 4-iron, 210 yards, got a hook at about 30 yards. And what a great shot. Can't hold this green with that much hook on the ball, but that really is a terrific effort from there. Duval knows that he's got to make a couple of birdies on the way in. That's one of the obvious holes to try and do it. So a 3-way tie at the top at 5 under. Estes, Pate and Olazabal, hounded by Norman and Janzen. Davis Love also there, and Duval threatening. Steve Elkington 3 under after 10. Former champion Woosnam, even par. Scoring tough today. We'll go to the 10th.
Bob Estes now, birdie putt. Birdied the hole Thursday, parred it Friday and Saturday. A big swinging putt from the right. No, that was lacking speed all the way. A good conservative effort from Mr. Estes. Boy, this is a great pairing for Bob Estes and Lee Janzen, I believe. They're very similar players. Style of play, temperament. They can feed off of each other, and who knows what can happen on the remaining 8 holes. This golf course, perhaps more than any other, requires a degree in self-control. And especially this year with all the changes to the golf course, I can't remember so many ups and downs, double bogeys and birdies and eagles. We just get word that Davis Love did make his par at 8. Lee Janzen now even on the day, 4 under for the tournament. The big problem at 10 is the gusty winds and the debris from the pine trees. Anything on these greens, they are so perfect, they are so fast. Any little slightest flaw will deflect the ball well offline. Let's go back to 8 first.
And in the center of the fairway, Jose Maria Olazabal, par 5 uphill. And we'll go back to 10.
This to tie for the lead. So hard to be aggressive on that. It'll be a par 4 for Lee Janzen at 10. It remains -4 and level par today. You get so few putts here where you can take a bold run at it. And you almost always have the fear of 3-putting in the back of your mind. To 15.
And from behind the green, Duval. Superb touch. And just 6 inches left. And he'll be a shot behind to the 8th.
And the second shot of Greg Norman. You see Olazabal's ball and Norman just behind him, both about 20 yards in front of the green. The hole today cut well back to the left. Back to 15.
For Duval, taps in. Now just 1 shot back. And if he can pick up 1 or 2 more in the next 3 holes, who knows? This was earlier at 8.
And a moment ago, which equates to earlier, here's Olazabal, his second shot. Well done, and of course, he excels at the short game. We're midway through the final round of the 1999 Masters Golf Tournament. A 3-way tie at the top. Bob Estes, Steve Pate, Jose Maria Olazabal.
This tournament has always honored the amateur. There were 7 started the week. 4 made the cut, and low amateur honors belong to 19-year-old Sergio Garcia from Spain. Many are expecting this might be his last event as an amateur. He won the British Amateur, in fact, last year, defeating Craig Williams, a former Augusta State golfer here in Augusta, in the final of the British Amateur. Look at amateurs in the Masters. And in the 90s, 12 made the cut, 4 of them alone this year. There have been only 8 in the 90s before this year. So congratulations to Sergio Garcia. He will be in the Butler cabin for the green jacket presentation later, as the amateur is always recognized as well at that time. And we go out to the 9th. Steve Pate's 126 yards away. He's parred every hole so far. Come back a bit. Wow, is that going to be a tough 2-putt? He was asked how he prepared Friday night for his Saturday 65, and he played horse basketball out in the driveway of the rental home here in Augusta. Says he was defeated, in fact, in the game of horse by his stepmother. Let's go out to the 8th hole.
All right, Jim, here's Greg Norman's 3rd shot. Oh, well done. Whoa! That for birdie. To 9.
Wow. Davis Love now at the 9th hole, inside of 100 yards. We've got him at 99. And that's a better move and should get a little closer. Davis, one of 4 leaders after the first round, opened with a 69 Thursday. Back to 8.
And Olazabal, the co-leader. Just off the edge. Well, our congratulations to back to the 11.
And quietly, Steve Elkington is for par at the long par 4 11th. That's a 3-putt. And just to give you an idea of the scoring today, the average score returned well over 75 strokes, and the best scores returned, only 2 have broken par today. Fred Couples and Brant Jobe with 1 under par 71s. The winds are fierce. And the hole locations so difficult. And 11 claims another victim. To 16.
And David Duval just 1 shot back as he comes to the par 3. Look out. This is going to be way over the green. My goodness. Airmailed the green by about 15 yards, well back into the gathering of patrons. To 11.
And a view from behind the green, newly designed green by Tom Fazio, raised 2 feet this year, which introduces this new back left pin placement. And Bob Estes and Lee Janzen in the fairway. And Lee and Dave Musgrove just trying to distinguish the win. Let's go to 8.
And Olazabal for birdie. Fred Couples under par round ignited by the only eagle of the day at this 8th hole. We've had 3 this week, and one of them posted by Tom McKnight, the amateur, to the 11th.
And the 2-time U.S. Open champion ready. That from 212 yards. And Kenny, the play here is about 50 feet right of the hole, just where Lee played it.
Boy, this is one hole you get on the tee and you say, just give me 4. I don't care what happens, just let me walk away with 4. That is the most difficult pin placement I have ever seen in all the years I've been here at number 11.
It's the first time it's ever been there. That portion of the green has been widened. Ray's Creek was widened, so now the creek oh so close to the edge of the green. And to 9 we go.
And Steve Pate. But he loved just 2 putts.
Slow down. Watch
He had
out.
said yesterday, I've always thought this was by far my best chance to ever win a major because of the way I putt. I don't 3-putt very often. Let's go back to 8.
And Greg Norman in quest of his first birdie of the day and a share of the lead. There you have it. Greg Norman moves into a share of the lead, and all set up with this pitch. I thought for a moment he had a 3. To the 11th.
Second shot, co-leader Bob Estes from 190 yards. And a gust of wind is just picked up. Well, today that's short, and that's the good news. He'll have plenty of green to work with. And under those circumstances, tied for the lead, I kind of like that play. To 9.
And Davis with brother Mark helping on the line, looks for a birdie here. They could also grab a share of the lead for Davis Love the third. because of the changes, the alterations here at Augusta. Mark Love had come in to check out the course to practice here about a month ago and report back to Davis on the changes. This for birdie. And he is now tied. There are 5 players at 5 under. Let's go back to the tee and Greg Norman.
This is not an easy tee shot, Jim, because it's dogleg left, but it looks like you have to go right. It almost looks like you slide it.
Go, baby. Allegedly.
Staring it down for a long time. And in good shape. At the green, Steve Pate. Well, he said he doesn't 3-putt very often. It happened yesterday at 17. Put a small blemish on his round of 65, but how about that? Touring the first 9 with 9 pars. No birdies, but no bogeys. And those 2 leaders will head to the 10th tee. Here's another one back on the tee at 9. Never a doubt about that one. Skips into the second cut here. 211.
Bob Estes out of the University of Texas, where he was a Fred Haskins Award winner as a college golfer of the year. Has amassed 10 top 10 finishes in his last 13 months. In his 4th Masters, pitching his 3rd shot at the par 4 in the wind. Took that ball well to the left. Even on a little pitch shot, the gust can affect the ball. Up ahead. And that was David Duval at the 16th. Final round of the Masters. It's 5 on 5. Norman, Olazabal, Love, Estes, and Pate deadlocked at 5 under.
We're back at the ultimate setting of springtime, back in the final round of the Masters. A handful of leaders at 5 under par, out to 11.
And that, the birdie bid of Lee Janzen. That putt has been fooling the players today. It's a little slower than they are reading. And Janzen, very lighthearted, very jovial, his personality, and he carries that right out on the golf course, even at the back 9 at the Masters. To 16.
David Duval for par. This has been a very costly hole for David the last 2 years on Sunday. Last year he 3-putted here from 40 feet in the final round and lost by 1 to Mark O'Meara to 9.
We're back at 9. Norman is away, and this is kind of the first stop where we start to, well, we start to remember some of those haunting memories of 1996. This was the hole where Greg came up short, spun it off the false tongue on the green, made bogey. He's a little bit deeper out today, 137.
Jimmy, this is one shot he has to watch, because we've seen the big bite he can put on the ball at 7 and 8, and that's the one thing here. You don't want it backing up if you land it hole high. think he had any thoughts of 96 there, Jim?
Yeah, no doubt about it, Kenny. Just tell by the way he attacked it. This was what he did back in 96. This was from about 100 yards out. And he just got too daring. It spun off the green and led to a bogey. And the backpedaling began.
And you know, Jim, to the best of my knowledge, no one has bogeyed the 9th hole in the final round and gone on to win the jacket.
Only once, Peter. And that was in 1981, Tom Watson. The only player, in fact, that's in the last quarter century, the only player to bogey the hole here, 9, and go on to win the green jacket. Now, Olazabal. "109-yard shot. And there you see the result of the new rough here at Augusta. You see how that ball just bounded to the back of the green, didn't check up and get back on a level surface there for a good look at birdie. Over to 11.
Bob Estes trying to hold par up the hill, and no. So Estes, who was the Rookie of the Year 10 years ago on the PGA Tour, will take bogey at the 11th and drop out of a tie for the lead, and back to 10 we go.
A view from behind the green. Back there, left side of the fairway, Steve Pate, 197 yards. As a bogey, a par, and a birdie on this hole so far this week. He's leaning. And that is going to go all the way down into the second cut. And we've seen all kinds of shots from there. The lies are all very irregular down there, and depends on what he will draw. To 16.
Where moments ago David Duval had this for bogey. What a round it has been for David. 5 birdies and an eagle, 3 bogeys and a double bogey. And he's now at 3 under. Still within 2. Back to 10.
Now we have Davis Love back there in the fairway, 193 yards. We got a little bit of a read from the shot that Steve Pate hit. Ideal shot is to try and cut it off of this lie, hold it against the wind and the slope of the green. The wind has been gusting. He's leaning. That ball's headed out to the right. Oh, what a beautiful bounce. Unbelievable. It is breaks like that that sometimes can turn the round around. It was almost in the bunker. And instead of an impossible bunker shot, he has 15 feet for birdie straight up the hill. Back to 11.
And Bob Estes now for bogey. So the man who was tied for the lead, or actually outright leader in Los Angeles earlier this year on the tour, falls out of the tie atop the leaderboard, and to 9.
And Norman will be first. We've talked so much about the mental strength and really the mental rehabilitation he's had to go through just to get back on this stage to make another run at the green jacket. But we forget about the physical rehabilitation he's still undergoing from the shoulder operation of a year ago. Has to rehab twice a day. Every morning gets up for therapy with a trainer. Closes every round as well with more work. Just to this ridge line here. Now it'll come.
All in all, you'd have to call that a very good putt, because once it gets over that second rise, it just picks up speed, and you just can't leave it short once it starts going down that hill.
Janzen par at 11. This is Greg's 19th attempt at winning the green jacket. That would be a record, longest stretch before you claim your first green jacket. Mark O'Meara set the record last year, winning the coat in his 15th attempt. Kenny, it appears to me that Greg is really settling down now. He had a missed opportunity at 7 for birdie, but a superb second shot in there. and then the birdie at 8. How do you see it?
Well, with that shaky start that he had, he has come back well. Of course, the birdie at number 8 is a big thing there. And this one here, this one he has to make.
Let's go to 12.
Lee Janzen, 163 yards of sheer terror. Wind gusting. And that well over the green. Appeared to go in the back part of the back bunker. To 9.
Jose Maria looking, what, some 10 feet right of the hole almost. You can see that ridge line 10 feet before the hole. You want to just crawl to that point right about there. Lovely touch. He was born the day after Royal San Sebastian Open, the golf course. Of course, which he was raised on, right off the 9th green and practice putting area where his grandfather, then his father, both served as greenskeeper. He still lives at home, does Chima, with his mom and dad. Let's go back to the 12th.
And Bob Estes. Once was so lost with his golf game some 4 years ago he couldn't get out of bed, he said. But now he's atop the GIR list, greens in regulation today. And that a beautiful shot. 17 feet away for birdie to 10.
Steve Pate, difficult bump and run into the grain. Well judged. Well judged. Several players have not even made it to the green from that same similar position. Back to 9.
Norman with a putt for par. He was asked this week, did he feel like Augusta National owed him one? He said, I don't believe in things getting owed to you. I think you have to go out there and play well enough to get them yourself. That's what he's trying to do today. This for par. Solid putt. He will make the turn and a tie for the lead. Out in 37 with the bogeys at 3 and 5. Putting stroke looking pretty solid now after just the one that really got away was 7 from some 6 feet out. Not that that's automatic. Olazabal will join him on the 10th tee at 5 under par. Let's go over to 10 right now. Peter Costas.
And to save par. Oh, beautiful stroke. Very simple. Steve Pate remains -5 and tied for the lead. Now, earlier, this was Davis Love's effort. Dangerous, dangerous putt. And he went on to tap that in to save par at 10. And as our final pairing of the day makes their way to the 10th tee, buckle your seatbelts. Who knows what's going to happen on this second 9. This golf course plays in groups. The first 6 holes, basically, you have to survive. 7, 8, 9, you can take a little bit of advantage of. They come to a stretch of 10, 11, and 12 very difficult holes again. And this hole, Greg Norman knows all too well, has cost him several green jackets. He has, however, parted every day this week. He's going to be going with a 3-wood, it looks like, off the tee. And I think that's the biggest change in this hole over the years. Players going with 3-woods, realizing they can turn the ball over easier and still catch the slope. And as a result, when they catch that slope, it'll shorten the hole some 40 or 50 yards. Now let's take a look at this swing. Remember, early on in this round, several shots were missed to the left. This is one that you want to turn over, but you can't start it left. It'll catch the trees. Everybody likes it. And that's okay. It'll be a reasonable distance back, though, from the hole. And the 10th hole, Camellia. There you go, starting from the tee. Big swooping downhill, dogleg left. Want to kind of land the ball in the shaded area. It'll catch the downslope. Stay short of the Mackenzie bunker that used to guard the old first green here when this was the first hole. Now to 11.
Davis Love looking anxiously to the right. But it's in good shape, and actually I prefer that angle to today's pin placement, to 10.
Jose Maria Olazabal also going with a fairway wood. The wind starting to gust again. Regrouping again. Let's look at his scorecard. 3 bogeys in a row, followed by a brilliant birdie at the 6th hole, but turns in 2 over par. Well, he's reaching down for the tee. That means he likes that one as well. The real difficulty here at 10, starting on the second shot. He is far left on the fairway. That is pretty long, but he'll nestle up right against the second cut. And the final pairing of the day, making their way down the hill on 10. After 10, they get to go to Amen Corner, and let's go there now, number 12.
For the birdie effort of Bob Estes from the back of the green, not much break, and slightly downhill. Watch out. Ooh. And uncharacteristically, the ball took a little jog to the right. And earlier at Golden Bell, here was Lee Janzen's second shot from the bunker, and there's a small rise to 17.
Well, David Duval has made enough birdies, 5 of them an eagle. He had a perfect drive here at the 17th, had 130 yards to the pin, trying to hit the ultimate approach, left it short of the green, chipped to there, misses, another bogey. So certainly, if you'd offered him 5 birdies and an eagle at the beginning of the day, he would have thought he'd had an excellent chance in this tournament. Not to be, to the 12th.
And earlier, Lee Janzen for par. And for someone who has been in the top 10 twice at the Masters in his 8 appearances in putting, that was not a good effort. Now live for bogey. So a double bogey, 5 for Lee Janzen. And how often this hole has been so paramount in the conclusion of this tournament. And Jansen's double drops him now 3 shots off the pace. And Steve Pate on the tee at 11. And earlier today, the FAA issued a moderate turbulence warning below 12,000 feet for those pilots flying in this area. And Steve Pate, his round has been anything but turbulent, all pars. And Bob Estes on the loneliest place at Augusta, the 12th green. The patrons watch from over 150 yards away, and Bob Estes salvages par, and that's the good news. This has been the second most difficult hole, averaging about 3.5 shots. If you can go through 11 and 12 par, you'll pick up more than a stroke on the field. To 17.
David Duval for a bogey. He'll drop back to 2 under par, and the chance of setting a score that would really worry the followers on the back 9 through the water holes, that's gone. Only 2 under to the 10th.
Where the flag has gone limp for a moment and now starts to pick up the breeze again. Greg Norman, 1 of 4, tied at -5, has 177 to the front. About 202 to the hole. Getting last minute yardages. Tony Navarro, his caddy, told him to pick a spot. Asking for it to stay right. It will not. Will it slow down? That is all down green, and it will pick up speed and won't stop until it gets probably to the second cut. Oh, is that going to be a delicate shot? So for 2 days in a row now, Greg Norman misses the 10th green to the left. Let's go to 11.
Where Carlos Franco has hit the best shot of the day at 11. This 10-footer for birdie, and it won't break. So the 33-year-old Paraguayan, who first qualified for the PGA Tour last fall, 5 victories in Japan, and making quite a run, to 10.
Only 170 yards left for Jose Maria Olazabal. Has only hit 58% of the greens so far this week. Not particularly stellar. Good aggressive swing. Oh, and this is well played. Keeps it below the hole. He'll have about 15 feet. The 10th hole, the beginning of a very exciting, perhaps the most exciting 9 holes in major championship golf. To 11.
Second shots remaining for Steve Pate, 182 yards. Oh dear, doesn't like it. Well, if you're going to miss it right. And that's okay. Very few have been able to get it up and down from there today, but better than the alternative. Left is almost a certain double bogey. To 13.
Bob Estes on the 13th hole, trying to take it right to left. What was he saying there? That was not going to give him a chance to go for the green. So let's go back to 11.
And big drive for Davis Love, 170 yards. Can take advantage of that and be a little more aggressive on his second shot. And that pulls up a little short, some 50 feet. But that's the proper angle below the hole. And what a Donnybrook we have in the final round of the Masters. Norman, Olazabal, Love, and Pate, all tied at 5 under par.
Greg Norman now, little bump and run. He must strike it firmly or the grass will grab it. All in all, very well done from there. He elected to go really with a straight face club, and that minimized a little bit of the grain. All the grass grows down towards the scoreboard. He'll have that left for par at 10. You know, as a long-time suffering Red Sox fan, every year I come back and say, is this the year they will win the World Series? And I kind of feel the same about Greg Norman. Is this the year he will finally get redemption?
Peter, the answer to your first question is yes.
Thanks, Sean. The determination written all over his face. There is no give up in this man. Survived a very, very shaky start, as has Olazabal. He has it now positioned beautifully under the hole in this putt to take sole possession at -6. Backs away a little bit distracted. Beautifully soft hands. Oh yes. Only the 3rd birdie of the day at the 10th hole. Jose Maria Olazabal assumes sole possession of the lead at -6. Both of these players now starting to get their sea legs and obviously very capable of shooting low numbers on the second 9. As Jose Maria steps back to watch now, Greg Norman another time puts some pressure on his putter. It has served him well so far, especially these short putts, beautifully stroked, most of them. This to save par and remain -5. So Greg Norman escapes the 10th hole with 4 straight pars. Could that be an omen? But the story right now, Jose Maria Olazabal and this birdie effort at 10. Joining David Duval and Fred Couples as the only players to birdie the hole, and he takes sole possession of the lead as he goes towards the 11th tee on Sunday afternoon at Augusta. And let's go to the green now.
Or earlier, Steve Pate. It's the 6th green he has missed in regulation. Today in the final round, he has gotten the first 5 up and in for pars. The good news is his putt remaining from some 7 feet will be uphill. Amazing story as we move to 15.
Lee Westwood, 78 yards, his 3rd shot. And nicely done. Westwood at -2. He'll have that to get to within 3. The 11th.
And Davis Love, who said earlier this week he was anxious to get here. Opened with a 69, tied for the lead. This for birdie. And a fine putt. Be a tap-in par. And Kenny, those who are at 5 under can only think they can go through 11 and 12 par. They've done well.
You hit it right on the nose, because they go par, 11 and 12, and now when you're going to win or lose it, make your move. 13, 14, 15 are the ones you're going to pick it up, and those are the ones you can lose them.
And Steve Pate, who won at Pleasant Valley last year. Meanwhile, on the tee, Jose Maria Olazabal. Spent much of the morning working on crossword puzzles, but now he'll be working on his journey crossing Rays Creek. Came to the putting green some 2.5 hours before tee time, did Jose this morning. And now Steve Pate, can he do it one more time for par? And the first blemish. The man who recorded a Masters record 7 consecutive birdies yesterday, which began at the 6th, gives one back. And now Greg Norman. Wise play, teeing it up on the left side of the tee box. That to open up the right side of the fairway. And perfect. Well, actually, that's in the second cut. Davis Love tapped in for par up ahead. And 18.
This is for birdie to post 3 under.
And who knows? I asked him Wednesday, what kind of outfit will you wear on Sunday to coordinate perhaps with a green jacket? He says, I'm going to wear my all blues because it's very workmanlike. And that's how he sees himself on the golf course. He brought it back today. That's now the low round of the day is 70. It's just 2 off the lead. He will wait. We go back out to 14.
And this is Nick Price for birdie. Brilliant second shot here from 122, and Nick Price only 3 off the lead to 15.
Westwood now. Gets to 3 under. Went through purgatory at Amen corner. With 3 behind Olazabal, we'll go to 13.
Estes' third shot, he's got to use the back of the green to bring it back. Don't get it short. Back up a little bit. Here we go. Very smart play. You don't want to even fool with the front of this screen. So he'll have that putt for birdie. But we got a little crowd at the top here.
Just a perfect week of color. They timed it just right this year. That's not always the case, but the wisteria and the azaleas, forsythia and dogwoods in full bloom. And certainly a fragrance in the air this week to greet the world's greatest golfers. And a leaderboard in a competition that you could only hope for, with Olazabal leading by 1 over Norman and Love, and we go out to the 12th tee.
Steve Pate. And this is where he nearly recorded a hole-in-one yesterday. Oh, unfortunate there. The wind at its softest we've seen all day. And earlier, Davis Love, who was very patient on this tee, took his time, waited just for the right wind. It was very soft. It would be a little light 7-iron. And perfect. And now, final twosome of the day. Olazabal and Norman. And Kenny, with the Tom Fazio redesign of this green, what do you think about it?
Well, it's become more difficult, and it's more difficult when you're to the right of the green because you got to come up there, raise the green about 2 feet. But looking down this right here now, anything, I mean, don't even think where you are, because he's 6 under par, he's leading. This is the one hole that just leave it out to the right. Don't even think about it. There's no pin on that green.
This has been the most difficult hole at Augusta National today, averaging over 4.6, and it's the start of Amen corner. Leader Jose Maria Olazabal from 195 yards, and the target should be the left side of that bunker that you see in your right-hand portion of your screen, Kenny.
You know, Bobby, you said 4.6. That is what the 13th par 5 played the first 3 days.
And a distraction to one who is hardly ever distracted. And we'll go to 13, Kenny.
Bob Estes now for his birdie. This could put him at 5, back up to 5 again. And no. So he'll have to settle for 5, and that's disappointing. Let's go back to 11 now.
And we've seen it time and time again. The wind up, down, across. Players seemingly perplexed. And Steve Pate, meanwhile, at the 12th. And a beautiful bunker shot for Pate. 5 feet remaining for par. And to 13. Bob Estes parred. And still, Jose Maria Olazabal unsure. And Kenny, this perhaps, Ben Hogan always said there were 2 or 3 shots around that were really the key shots, and I think for Olazabal, this is one of them.
This is key hole here. I mean, if he can get, as he's saying, if he gets by here with 4, he'll be very happy, but I don't expect anything, the way he plays anything, going anywhere near the center or left of the green.
Noted as one of the best iron players in the game. And that is exactly the play.
You know, it's amazing when you can have yourself a 40-footer for your birdie and you say that is exactly the play. That tells you how difficult the hole is, Bobby.
And to 13.
Lee Janzen now for birdie after knocking it over the green in 2. Chip back to this and walks away with 4. He almost made it. It just lipped out coming down the hill, but he goes to 3 under. So there's still a lot of golf left, and as we go back to 11.
Greg Norman, also from 195 yards in the second cut, and this a 7-iron. He's planning on this to jump. And the good news here is he's got the better angle where he can land this in the middle of the green. The slope will carry it more toward the flag.
That used to be fairway.
Gritted teeth, well played iron shot. He has evoked the greatest response of any of the players on the leaderboard by the patrons that stand along the 12th tee. And earlier, Davis Love, after a beautiful tee shot, this for birdie. And looking for the break that's not there. But he appears that he will par 11 and 12. And let's pick up a shot on the field. Now Steve Pate, who is bunkered. 5 out of 6 and up and downs today. And the former Ryder Cupper does it again. A scrambling round, but only 1 over par, no birdies. And 2 par 5s remaining. Davis Love for par. In the middle. So Love will conclude Amen Corner, or go into the conclusion of Amen Corner. Only 1 back. Certainly in great position with Olazabal to 15.
And Nick Price over the back in 2, 3 under par, and a beautifully judged chip shot from there. So difficult to find the right weight. We go to 16.
Lee Westwood for birdie. Just short. And he'll have a tap in to remain 3 back. His grandmother back in England likes to place legal wagers on her grandson in golf tournaments around the world. That double bogey at 11 might have cost Grandma a few pounds today. Still 3 back with 2 holes remaining. .213.
Davis Love now on the tee, 5 under par, and if it's a strong suit, this one in 15, he has to make his move. Staring it down. Could it be going right? Wait a minute. No, I don't think he knocked that down and turned it around. I don't know whether that stayed up or not. The 13th hole called the Azalea. Dogleg left par 5. You drive over Rays Creek, and the tributary of Rays Creek goes up the entire left-hand side of the 13th fairway. As you go around the bend, it crosses right in front of the green and the right-hand side with 4 bunkers protecting the left side and back. Steve Pate on his second shot, on his shot at 13 to get himself in position to knock it on with his second shot. And he'll stay in there and he'll have a run at it. So I don't know. We still don't have word of where Davis Love's tee shot went. Go back to 11.
Olazabal. His putt just slightly uphill, but a big right to left break, some 7 feet. And we're starting to see a pattern of that. And a bit tentative, 4 feet remaining. Olazabal has made 2 pars and a bogey here at the 11th. And there is the ball of Davis Love at the 13th in the tributary to Rays Creek.
What a costly mistake that is.
To 18.
And the 1998 champion, Mark O'Meara. He threatened to contend here through 2 days, but there was no magic on the weekend this year. A year ago, he became only the 3rd player in Masters history to win the 18th, or birdie the 18th to win the Masters. Let's go back to 11.
And Greg Norman, that Augusta win, that some debris from the trees has fallen on the green. And we'll go to 15.
Nick Price, this to go 4 under. Just a little sneaky right to left in it. Well, that's a disappointing miss. That one just very slightly up the hill. We'll go back to the 11th.
And we'll call it 30 feet for Norman. Off the Olazabal read. The difference between greatness and mediocrity is often how an individual views a mistake. Greg Norman, it was opportunity.
That was like making an eagle, Bobby.
And now the weight on Olazabal.
That has to really give him a huge bunch of confidence after getting up and down at 10 where he did well, and then make that. He has got to be really on a high right now.
Well, we talked about his play at the 10th, all pars. That has been his trouble hole. Here, remember 96, the bogey in the final round. A birdie today. Olazabal, great 2-putt, solid par 4. And here is one of the great walks in all of golf. And Greg Norman must be tingling with energy and butterflies and adrenaline, and this the reason why. 30 feet, big right to left breaking putt, and it was nothing but net. And yesterday, this was the tee shot of Greg Norman at the par 3 12th. And that is where he lost his ball. He had to make the long journey back across Hogan's Bridge. The fans charged him up. And then look at this bogey putt, perhaps one of the greatest bogeys in all of golf. Greg Norman did it yesterday here at the 12th, and now live. 163 yards.
My theory here is don't even think of that pin on that right-hand side right now in his position.
And the wind is freshening, and Greg wisely backs off. Players who most often make 2 waggles in their normal routine here are known to make 4 or 5 and then start over. You have to wait till the wind is just right. Right now we'll call it 15 miles an hour here in the tower, and you want to feel the wind at your cheek, and you want to see the flag at 11 blowing softly and 12 still. You do not ever want to hit when both flags are blowing.
You really don't want to hit when that flag is down, because that's getting ready to have the wind come up, Bobby.
And going left. And the gust of wind hit that, but that's the smart play. If you hit left, you have very little chance of it drawing back in the water. That's the only part of the bank, Kenny, that the ball will stay up.
But that's the thing I was saying, is that Hogan always said when he played there, and taught me this in 58, he said never hit at 12 when the flag is down. He would always waggle until he felt the breeze on his cheek, because what he did, he hit it when the flag was down, and the wind caught it because it came back up, because 11 went down and 12 came back up.
And then final round facts: since 1980, 2 players have hit their tee shot here at 12 in the water and still gone on to win the Masters. Ballesteros and Lyle. And now Olazabal. Brendan McCartan on the bag. And this a classic example of caddy player discussion. Winds out today out of the west. 11 gusting to 22 was the latest report at the airport. And now there's the flag at 11, actually blowing downwind now. That's the first time we've seen that today. This is completely contrary to anything we've seen today.
What will happen is this 11 will start to die before 12 goes back up. It just comes around, it was slowing down, and then the flag at 12 will start to move.
And 11 starts to return back. The breeze picks up. So confusing for the player. And it's long, but a pretty good shot under those conditions. To 13.
Davis Love's third shot after hitting in the water and dropping back, trying to get around the bend, and he's going to leave himself well over 130, 40 yards for his 4th shot. And now live, Davis with 153 yards. This is his 4th shot. Again, he can't afford to leave it short. Look out. Just watch out, watch out. What a shot. What a chance he took. Well played. So he still has a chance to save par, but that's like losing one with his length. But now we have 2 players at 6 under par, Greg Norman and Olazabal. Steve Pate's second shot from 230 yards, trying to take it left to right. Executing that very well. Very nice looking. Gets there, but it will not stop. It'll just come down the hill. And right on the back of the green, but he'll be able to putt, but he'll have a good 45 feet. Let's go back to 12.
Where the uphill lie will play into Greg Norman's favor. He has about 30 feet of green remaining beyond the bunker. And for his standards, not his best. And you can see what he's done on the par threes this week. Par threes, that's a very good average, even par. That's the most difficult here at National. And the par fours, a blazing 4 under, but he hasn't abolished the par fives as usual. To 17.
Lee Westwood, super drive, heart of the fairway, good wedge to here. This to go 4 under par. Only 2 birdies at this very unusual pin placement at 17. Thought he'd made it. And he's recovered well from that run at Amen Corner. We'll go back to the 13th.
Now Steve Pate coming downhill, breaking from right to left, and once it gets down by the hole, if it gets going past, it just picks up some speed. It will not break. Now watch it pick up. Watch it go. Unbelievable. Nobody can believe this. You just sit here all day, and it looks like it's stopping at the hole, and they go by 7, 8 feet. Let's go back to 12.
Olazabal, known as a master around the greens and the bunkers. And another beauty. He's answered the call time and time again. And look at this, same number as Greg Norman on the par threes. The par fours, he's 2 under to Greg's 4, and the par fives, he's 4 to Greg's 2. Taps in for par 3, and Olazabal will go through 11 and 12 with pars, and that's a moral victory in itself. A man who won in '94 with the duel with Tom Lehman looks to be another duel. To 18.
And O'Meara to finish here with a par at the close. And he will be in the Butler cabin later to present the green jacket to the new champion. To 13.
Davis Love trying desperately to save par. Hello? Yes! What a 5 on the 13th hole after driving in the water and then leaving a fourth shot of 153 yards and salvaging par. Let's go back to 12 quickly.
That was a par to remember for Davis Love, and this for Greg Norman will be another bogey at 12. But he's played 10, 11, and 12, an even par, and that in itself is a victory. But he trails by 1 shot in the final round of the Masters with 6 holes remaining. And his advantage of the par 5s to 13.
Now Steve Pate has gone by this far. He has to learn that it does not break. Can't give the hole away. Very good. Excellent read right there. Most people would miss that on the left thinking it breaks, but he watched it all the way down, and that's the advantage of watching your putt. As it goes by the hole, you watch what it breaks like. So he comes off with a birdie, and Pate now goes to -5. Walking to the 14th tee, and I think they're both just as happy. One with the 4 and one with the 5. They got to be happy. And you got it, Verne. Now back to 13 tee. We got Olazabal now. Excellent bunker shot. Takes the lead again by 1 over Norman and Davis Love and Steve Pate. And here's the hub right in here, 13, 14, 15. Going right. Doesn't like it. And if you can get around the trees, that is definitely going to be a layup. To 14.
And the tee shot of Steve Pate on this 405-yard par 4. Well played. Took it right to left. And the hole today cut back right. Now back to 13.
Norman high in this now. He has not been very successful on the par 5s for his length. He's played 13 with a 4, a 5, and made a 6. Plus he's played at an even par, and a 4 right now is a must. Going with a 3 medal. Go on means he's got it down the middle, and go on just get some more length. You got to be happy with that. Excellent tee shot. I don't believe Olazabal can go for it. Masters Champions 13th hole, final round. Look at this. You most have to birdie it. Bernhard Langer made eagle. So 13 is a swing hole, but it's had produced 15 eagles this week.
Olazabal leads by 1, but Norman found the slot off the tee at 13. Will have an iron to that par 5 and 2. Davis Love with a par to remember. That's becoming very, very large right now for Davis. -5. The save he made at 13. Lee Westwood approaches the 18th green at -3 with Nick Price and Carlos Franco. And Phil Mickelson is in at -3. Let's head to the 14th tee.
And we'll see if Davis Love can take advantage of his enormous length off the tee. This a moment ago. And indeed he did. Back to 15.
And Bob Estes, don't forget about him. Missed this green. Kind of fortunate not to go in the water, and really didn't have a lot of room here over the bunker. Had to play that one a little left of the hole, and that's just about as good as he could have done. So that putt to go 5 under to 18.
This was earlier. Phil Mickelson for birdie. He was 2 over today through 6. And he plays the last 12 holes with an eagle and 5 birdies. He joins David Duval posting 285 back to 13.
Olazabal now hits 249 yards. So there's no doubt, to me, would go at that. But now it's the position where you don't want to lay up too close because you get on a downhill slope. You want to lay back so you can get some club on the ball and use the back to back it up if you can. So position on this second shot is everything. Leave it way out to the right as he can. He took a little chip shot swing, but he left it much too far back. But you want to get back. You want to get back to a ways you'd like to get into about. Would you like to get into about 100 yards where you can hit a really hard wedge, sand wedge, and back it up? Let's go to 15.
Up the hill, right to left. Just to get within 1 of Olazabal. Well, a little weak at this stage. Really got to get those to the hole. Back to 13.
Now here comes a key shot. He put that close to the creek. He has 198 yards, and what an excellent angle he has. He's got the whole green to work with as much as you can. That was a well-placed tee shot. Start it down a little bit to the center of the green, and hopefully you can just let it slide off that hill down towards the hole.
Be the right distance.
Be the right distance. Be the right distance. Right on line, he took it in. I mean, you put that on the drawing board. That was well executed. It came right at the flag, a little left to right, and he'll be faced now with probably about a 20-footer. And this has been a very, very difficult putt to read. But he is in excellent shape to try to make eagle, which would be the 16th eagle of the week. Let's go to 14.
And the second shot now of Steve Pate, downwind. He's 129 yards away. This a pitching wedge. And it does not check up off the back edge. That was a moment ago, and now Davis Love from 97 yards out, but he's just in the second cut. Across the ridge. To 18.
And Tiger for birdie. As we get it back to even par for the tournament. Jumped out to well, he was 2 under today through 4, then he double bogeyed the 5th, and that was it. Let's go back to 13.
Olazabal's third shot now from 126 yards, and he wants to use the back of the slope to bring it back down. If he can put as much bite on as he can, it would be the perfect shot. Now, let's see how much bite we can put on this. Get it? Nope. If he'd hit just about 15 feet farther, he would have come right back down towards the hole with that spin, but he'll be left now with 15, 18 feet for his birdie. But Norman has got an excellent chance for eagle, and you can hear the applause. There are no patrons and galleries like they are at Augusta. The best. Unless you've made this walk, you don't know what it's like. I mean, the tingling, because the people are just, I mean, they are just applauding, and it's just a marvelous feeling as we go to 14.
This is Steve Pate, delicate little chip shot. That was a moment ago and well played. Leaves himself about 4 feet. And now Davis Love. That's a very difficult hole. Contours of the green. And while we wait, let's go to 16.
Bob Estes in contention for the first time ever at the Masters and holding up very well. Just 2 back of Olazabal. But that's in a very tough spot. Long and right, and a delicate downhill shot upcoming for Estes. 214.
And Davis Love for a share of the lead. Only 3 birdies today. Was reminiscing earlier this week about well, we go back to 13.
After Greg Norman taking a long, good, hard look from both sides, being able to sit here, there's a good angle there. If it gets down within a couple feet of the hole and it's outside the right edge, it stays there all day long. So you just feel off this slope it has to go more left, and most of the players that have missed this have missed it on the right-hand side. Very fast when it gets down by the hole. Now watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Tell me about it. Tell me about that. That was center cut, folks. And now Norman has now gone to 7 after that shaky start, and what an eagle there and a birdie at 11. Fantastic. When you're going to win, that's the way you're supposed to play it. As we said, he's played here, has made the first day of 5, second day 4, and 6 yesterday. And take a look at this. This is worth a second look. That was magnificent. Now he has to make the birdie. This is for birdie. Or instead of trailing by 1 coming in here, he will be trailing by 1 if he doesn't make this putt. Hello? Hello, you not? Come right in. You think this isn't exciting right now? I'll tell you, this is it. Look at Norman gives over, gives him a wink and a wave. And I'll tell you, this is what it's all about right here. As they walk to the 14th tee, Olazabal and Norman 7 under, leading by 2.
Meanwhile, while Norman and Olazabal were providing us with the thrills up at 14, Davis Love, Steve Pate backed away after the eagle from Greg Norman. They both managed pars. Ken, you and I were here in 1986 when Greg Norman finished 1 shot back of Jack Nicklaus. These galleries today responding in a way reminiscent to that of 1986. Dogleg left, uphill, downwind. That started right, and there's trouble over there. But not that much trouble, it would appear. Well, the 14th, 405 yards. It's called Chinese Fur. One begins with a tee shot uphill, dogleg to the left, and the second shot played to an enormous green, notable for the absence of bunkers, and huge undulations make it very, very difficult to read. Hole today is cut back right, back on the tee, the co-leader. Just into the second cut. And let's go back and take one more look at the eagle effort of Greg Norman. Watch Steve Pate, who was standing over this for a 4. You might remember that back on the 12th, he was on the 12th green and had to do the same. Well, the eagle and this for a 4. The answer for Jose Maria Olazabal. What a story unfolding on this Sunday in the final round of the 1999 Masters.
At 18, Tiger Woods, this was for par a moment ago, and he finished +1. That's 19 shots higher than his record total of 1997. And Lee Westwood finished at -3. And now, just a moment ago, this was for par for Nick Price, trying to become the 4th player in at 285, and he got his par. And what an incredible moment of humanity when they posted on the leaderboard here the Norman Eagle at 18, a huge ovation, and Price, a very close friend of Greg's, turned around and applauded for a good 10 seconds. I think everyone in the world feels that way right now. And let's go back out to 14, Verne Lundquist.
All right, Jim. Sometimes one is led to believe in destiny, and Greg got a break. This ball hit a patron, gave him a shot. He's 156 yards out. But tough to hold it out of this second cut.
Get on there. Cut back. It's cutting back. Get up. Get up. Get up.
All right, over the ridge. A little too hot. That left. Should he win, what a story of redemption. The psychological torment of the last couple of years, and should it be Olazabal, what a story of comeback from physical adversity. Out 18 months. An injury first diagnosed as rheumatoid arthritis, later corrected, diagnosed by a German doctor to be a problem in his lower back.
Left to right to that flag. Come right. Come right. Go on.
Roughly the same putt that faced Davis Love III. And the sense of anticipation as he stood over the ball, palpable. We go to 15.
And as we look back up the hill, the 15th, the rock upon which many a Masters dream and ambition has found her. Davis Love, 220 to the hole.
Cut. Good.
He's got it going towards the trap, and that is in the bunker. It's not the worst place in the world to be here. Any kind of a decent lie. You can spin that a little bit and still get it close. And earlier, Steve Pate from 225 yards wants to hit it in left to right. He also just overcut that one, and we're going to see two very similar shots coming up. Pate and Love tied at -5. We'll go to 14.
And here's the problem confronting Greg Norman. About 25, 30 feet until he hits the surface. And then to properly judge the pace. Seven of 14 greens in regulation today. Round two, look at that, 16 of 18. A little less proficient in rounds 1 and 3.
You know, this shot here, Verne, is all speed. It's getting out. It's not when it gets on the green. It's you have to judge before the ball gets on the green. That's the most important, because once it gets on the green, it'll pick up momentum. So he has to look right there at the fringe. That's what he has to look of getting through, very nice and gentle. And the putter is the smart move. It's the safest move.
Well, he will test his nerves again.
That is so difficult to judge, Verne. You can't believe it, because it just gets caught in there, and if you hit it hard, you run it right off the green.
To 15.
And Steve Pate will be first out of the bunker. He's got a slightly better angle than Davis. A little more green to work with. Oh, no, he threw that way too far. And had a little spin on it too, so probably went a little too close to the ball. Meanwhile, back on 14.
As the drama builds, Olazabal, both men got off to an uncomfortable start. Settled down. And while Olazabal walks off his putt, let's go to 15.
And Davis ready very quickly. Just couldn't get any check on it, and that one dribbles by as well. So both Pate and Love, 2 behind, struggling to make birdie here at 15. Back to 14.
Olazabal's bid to gain the lead.
I think they both were very confused in that speed. It looks faster where he was there, but that break there, Verne, they've all missed it left, haven't they?
Yes, they have, Cam. How about this one, Ken?
This putt is going to go to his left. It'll go someone to start it out there, and then it'll start turning sideways. And a lot of times, if you go too much to the top, it'll stay out there. So this has to be hit just on the right line to get it to break. But speed is so important here. Speed is everything.
Birdie at 11, bogey at 12, eagle at 13, bogey at 14. And Greg Norman falls one back. That is assuming Jose Maria sinks this putt. And one should not make that assumption.
Even as fast as the greens are, Verne, I know the speed was important with Norman's putt, but this is where you have to test your nerves. You really have to take the break out of it, and you have to hit it firm. You can't be hitting this tentatively. You have to take it inside the hole and hit it firm and test your nerves.
Olazabal has reclaimed the lead, and the applause tepid by comparison to that given Greg Norman. We go to 15.
Or Steve Pate, dead straight putt up the hill. This was a moment ago. Norman's dropped one, and Pate gets one back. Now live, Davis Love, little left to right, right on line. So Love now in 4th place at -5. Norman and Pate tied for 2nd, 6. Olazabal, 1 in front. Back on the 15th tee. Olazabal approaches. He will have the honor. Well, this 15th hole has been extremely difficult, particularly the first 2 days, but 1 under par for it so far. Oh, today, Olazabal versus Norman in driving yards. He's been, well, you can see, he's been a little shorter, and the fairways hit stats are similar. All important tee shot here. The mounds down the right-hand side of this fairway are gone, replaced by a stand of trees, and a lot of players have been driving it further left and getting caught behind the big pines on the left. Seem to like it. That's perfect. See the shadow of those pines there? Those won't be a problem. He'll have a straight line to the flag from there, and it is reachable. You can see those new trees in the background there. 20 of them, pretty sizable. Par birdie for Norman so far on 15. He's teed it up well over to the left-hand side of the tee. Suggest he's going to try and hit a hard draw down here. He's leaning the other way. Well, no. There's a decision to be made. To the 16th.
Steve Pate just 1 off the lead. Well long. Perhaps a bit too revved up. So difficulty for Pate. Just 1 back in the final round of the 1999 Masters.
For additional in-depth information on the Masters, you can go to the internet, masters.org. Kenny, Greg's last 2 tee shots have been wayward, both lost to the right. Are you seeing anything there? Any tendencies?
He's coming out of it a little bit. I think trying to hit it so hard, he's coming out of his flex where he was so beautiful on 13. He stayed down and drew it around, and he stayed down longer, so you can see the difference. But the thing about here at 15, what he was doing,
Jimmy, is that he didn't want to overhook it where he couldn't go at the green, so he tried to stay as close to the right-hand side as he could.
Well, he's in the land of the new forest planted here, where the banks were reduced by some 8 feet, and these 20 pines that now he'll negotiate through or around one of them. These are all new since last year's tournament. And let's go out to David Feherty there at 15. David?
Thanks, Jimmy. Well, you can see what he's got in front of him there, and he's going to have to, if he is going to go at this, and I know he doesn't want to lay up. He's got 235 yards left, so he can get there, but his problem is the wind isn't helping a cut. It's kind of into him from the right, and there's the layup club. This is really going to be like pulling a tooth for him.
This is a smart move, David.
Well, I don't think he has a choice, Kenny.
No, because he has to get to the left side of the fairway to be able to get coming up the hill at the hole, David.
Well, you can see him aiming well left there. And there the truncated follow through, just trying to saw the club face across the ball. And he's laid that back right in the probably around 100-yard range. Relatively easy flag to get to on this green. And the Masters champions, this is what they've done in the final round. Well, you can get away with parring it every now and then, but you really want to make birdie. 94, Olazabal made eagle here on his way to victory. We'll go to 16.
Where earlier Davis Love struck this tee shot. Left all the way and just barely over the water. And you can see how difficult the next shot is. Just 9 feet of green with which to work, but first back to 15.
225 yards. A pivotal shot. That looked like a layup. Well, little tactics strategy there, Kenny.
He's going one-on-one. They're going in. He's taken into a match play. He feels like he's one up, and if he can stay with his opponent, he'll win one up.
Second shot for Love. Using the ridge as a backstop. And tell me if you believe in destiny now.
Wow. He's within one. Davis Love III, just 2 days shy of his 35th birthday, and now the very difficult shot. At least we think it's difficult. Love didn't make his look so difficult for Steve Pate. Blading an iron through the higher grass. And that's very nicely played. To within 3 feet. For Steve Pate. Back to 15.
Norman, 98 yards to the flag. He can really spin it. Flag right in the back. Now that is such a strange shot. Kenny?
If I didn't see it, David, I wouldn't believe it. He felt the wind coming from the right, and he's trying to get it above and to draw it back down, but he just came right out of it and left it right up in the air, and nothing happened. I mean, that is, you know, from 98 yards.
Well, that bunker is about 12 yards right of the flagstick. And that, quite extraordinary. We'll go to 16.
Steve, Pate for a par.
Oh. A very costly bogey for Pate. Just his second bogey of the day. A man who himself has overcome so much adversity. Back in '96, he broke his right wrist in a car accident. A little bit later on, he was on vacation, stumbled on a boat dock and broke his left wrist. And then, believe it or not, later on, he was in his driveway on a bicycle. His dog chased a deer across their lawn, and the deer ran him over. That's a tough year. Back to 15.
Going behind you now for a minute.
David, do you think Olazabal was stuck between a 1-iron and a 3-iron, David? He doesn't carry a 2-iron, just not comfortable with the yardage?
That could well have been it, but he may well have just decided to go ahead and play this as a 5. 5 is always a good score here at 15, and the door has been opened for him. This is crucial. Well, it seems like not a bad idea now. That's about 12 feet short. Just a little right to left. Things reaching boiling point here. Olazabal 1 in front. And Norman has eyed this bunker shot like he wants to hole it. It's on the upslope. It's fairly simple. Well, he had an aggressive run at it. But he's going to have that one coming back a little bit up the hill, almost straight. We'll go to 17.
Almost straight downwind, the lengthened 17th. The Eisenhower pine down the left-hand side should not be a problem for Davis, but that didn't look comfortable at all. Trees within the fairway boundary down the right. He's gone between the trees and he may still be on the fairway, but not a good line into the pin. That's the enormous Eisenhower pine that the president campaigned to have cut down. New trees up the right. And the players were just praying that the wind was going to be helping on this hole. Into the wind, it was going to be diabolical this year with the new tee. To the 15th.
The possibility of a 2-shot swing here. Olazabal electing a layup. Could easily have reached the green, but as Peter Rooster has said, that kind of a yardage, 225. Probably would have liked to have hit 2-iron, but he doesn't carry one. One of the few players out here to carry the 1-iron still. Up the hill, 12 feet. Wants to start it just outside the hole on the right. Always just that little bit left. So a chance for Norman to stay within 1. And what a roar there would be around this 15th if he were to knock this one in. You can feel the love. You have to feel a little for Olazabal perhaps. But virtually everyone in the grounds rooting for this man at the moment.
David, he made the point when he won in '94 that virtually everyone was cheering for Tom Lehman that year.
That's true. And the game of golf has dealt him more slaps in the face than perhaps any other. And some of his wounds have been self-inflicted. but he always comes back.
Oh!
Cruel lip out. And a bogey 6. 3 holes to go. Norman now 2 behind. To 17.
Looking back towards the right rough, Davis Love, I think he used a 3-wood off the tee. He felt with his enormous length he might hit too far, not be able to hit a crisp pitch shot to this green. He's lucky to find the fairway, having run between trees, but a very difficult pin placement. Coming over sand. Difficult to tell. Did it catch the bunker or is it still chippable? Well, it's not in the sand. I don't know which is better. He's coming across the shoulder of the bunker. It's very, very fast. It's just a horrible pin placement. And Greg Norman, he's had just some horrible things happen to him on this 15th green over the years. This looked as if it was going to go nicely in the top side and make a great saving par, but it's a 6. Back to the 17th. Steve Pate, 126 yards. There's a bunker on a direct line to the pin for Steve. Out of the fairway to the right. We've only had 2 birdies here all day. Appears to have found the sand. There it is. Bob Estes hit a fantastic shot from here to about a foot to save a par, but most players have a bit more trouble than that. Back to the 16th.
The par 3 entirely over water from tee to green. Playing today at 181 yards with the tee back and the traditional Sunday back left hole location. And I'd imagine, Kenny, in his situation, Olazabal will want to aim for the right center of this green and just use the slope that funnels balls from right to left over toward the flagstick. Left is a huge mistake.
That's not the place to miss it. You're right. If you can just take it out to the right and maybe put a little draw on it, but let it get down. But he's in a position now where the fat side of the green is the best place to go.
Made 3 each of the 3 rounds prior to this, and has played the par 3s an even par for the week. Given the difficulty of the par 3s, he's played them well. Seems that they're looking for breeze. We can't detect any here in the tower. The flag is still and hanging straight down the flagstick. And you can hear yourself breathing here at 16 right now. Now he's looking at the treetops again. You might be able to hear wind, and we do obviously in our microphones, but it's tough to find evidence of it. You don't feel it, and you don't see it in tree movement or movement of the flag. Now it's coming up just a little bit. It appears to be in his face.
This is
several shots well long here, Kenny.
This is not a shot you want to hit when there's any doubt in your mind. You have to put it back in the bag, take it out again, but set yourself up and start all over, and then convince yourself you've chosen the right shot and the right club.
Excellent shot. That should come back down toward the hole. This is going to be very close. Brilliant shot by Olazabal. 3.5 feet above the cup for birdie. It was worth the wait. To 17.
Davis Love, fortunate to be able to use a putter, come across the edge of the bunker. Difficult shot. Once the ball gets around the cup, relatively flat, difficult putts to read, but it just rolls on. And that for a par for Davis to stay at 6 under. And back to the 16th.
And you'll recall the last time Greg Norman played this hole on a Sunday evening in 1996. He hit it in the water, and that was the final blow that he delivered to himself as he wound up losing to Nick Faldo by 5 shots. It was all but over. And he found the water here. And he answers Olazabal's shot with a beauty of his own. Just outside Jose Maria's ball. Both men rose to the occasion in a major way there. Let's go to 17.
This putt for a par for Steve Pate. He was in the front bunker. So bogeys at 16 and 17 for Steve Pate. All pars to the 11th. Bogey there, a birdie at 13. And 2 bogeys, really knocking him down the leaderboard. And we'll go back again to 16. 2 fantastic shots.
And the patrons showing their appreciation for these 2 good friends who have battled all day.
Davis Love for par. And he makes it. He stays 6 under. He's only 1 behind him, but of course a great chance for Jose Maria on the 16th green. What a chip shot at number 16 there for Davis Love. Remarkable. Didn't birdie the 2 par 5s on the back, which you might expect, but the miraculous birdie at 16. And now Pate for a bogey. He's back to 4 under. He's out of it. 7 birdies in a row yesterday. It's been a wonderful Masters, but a disappointing finish to the 18th green.
And this was earlier Bob Estes for birdie to get in at -5. Boy, he hung tough. It'll be a final round 72. And a tie for 4th.
Well, you look at the other scores, 72 par is meant a lot today. Nice young man, too.
Back to 16.
Almost appears as if these 2 men are staring each other down as they look at the upcoming putts from opposite sides of the hole. They've been head-to-head all day. Each got off to a shaky start. At one point on the final round, Olazabal was +3 for his round today, and Norman was 2 over after 5 holes. They're both in close, but there is plenty of movement in each putt. From left to right, and it's very fast downhill. Norman to get within 1, perhaps just for a moment. Did he hit it hard enough? No. A very disappointing par for Norman. Kenny, I might have expected a more spirited run at that, but it's difficult to charge downhill putts, obviously. But given Olazabal's position, Greg really needed that.
There's no doubt about that, Sean. It's the last thing you wanted to do on that putt was leave it short.
We've seen more than one miss from just about where Olazabal is putting. And downhill with the movement to the right. About 3.5 feet to take a 2-shot lead with 2 to play.
No doubt about that one. Jose Maria Olazabal in search of another green jacket. Leads by 2. But still the shot of the day here. One of 9 birdies here today by Davis Love. Looked to be a hopeless situation for him, using the slope as the backstop. The experience here at Augusta National over the years paying off for Davis. He even judged the speed beautifully. He's still in it, but it's Olazabal's tournament to win or lose right now, it seems. To 18.
And Davis has arrived here. Down 2.
Birdie's a must right now.
Well, he's put it in position to make a run at it.
He has been striping it off the tee today. And long and straight.
To 17, Peter Osterhaus.
Thank you, Jim. 3 pars in succession for Jose Maria. That's not bad at the 17th this year. Through 3 rounds, it was the second most difficult hole on the course, and that's without any water, no lost balls, few trees in play, that's for sure. The Eisenhower pine. That huge loblolly pine down the left-hand side. In a members' meeting in 1956, President Eisenhower lobbied to have it cut down. Clifford Roberts, chairman of the club, told him he was out of order. I wonder if there was a smile on the face of Chairman Roberts. Average hitters tend to try and work the ball right to left, get up on top of the hill. Well, has he caught a tree? There's the huge Eisenhower pine, 3 new trees behind that. And it looks as if Jose Maria will have a challenging second shot. Left-hand side does provide a better line into today's pin placement, which is in a unique spot. One nobody can quite remember seeing it there before, but it's been very difficult. Also 3 pars for Greg Norman. He only had 16 birdies on this hole through the first 3 rounds. And almost directly behind, perhaps a little bit right to left. It was a 3-wood for Davis Love, but certainly the driver for Greg Norman. It was a powerful blow down the left-hand side, an excellent drive. And we'll have to wait and see just where Jose Maria is. We might have to conjure up some of that magic out of the trees. We saw it yesterday at the 18th. And there, he's gone past the Eisenhower pine, but he's interfered with by the new trees. 3 new trees down the left-hand side of 17, 20 to the right between 17 and 15. And first of all, we go to the 18th.
And Davis Love.
Hit it behind the hole and bring it back. It could be. Watch this.
Oh,
from 110. Come on.
The slope again.
Come on. Good position, but a very difficult putt to read.
Giving himself a chance. Olazabal leads by 2.
Davis Love arriving at the 72nd green. Only 2 Georgians have ever won this tournament. Tommy Aaron, Larry Mize. And let's go back to 17.
Look, down the hill towards the pines, left of the fairway. Jose Maria has 180 yards to the cup. A little earlier, Tiger Woods had a mere 90 yards. He crashed his drive down the left-hand side, and most of the longer hitters 130 or thereabouts during this last part of the afternoon when the wind was almost directly behind. Greg Norman will have just 116 after his super drive. Olazabal, obviously no question that he's going to have to play a running shot. Bunkers to the left and short right.
It's a good play there. I mean, the green's going to be like concrete, isn't it? 188, you've got breeze down and off your right there.
Their calculations 188 yards, and the green was very, very firm the last 2 days. Players seem to think just about the hardest on the course for the first bounce of the ball. But he can't be thinking about landing this on the green. There's something landing 10 or 15 yards short of the green. A couple of bounces, skip onto the front edge. That'll be just fine. After his first round, he was quite satisfied with a 70. Said, with the tools I have, I'm very pleased, and I'm going to fight the rest of the way. And he's a fighter. Let's look for a low running shot. Not the full follow through, so trying to take some trajectory out of it. This is going to work quite well. Slowed down. It's a magnificent shot. Very few players have done better than that from 130 yards in the middle of the fairway. Still rolling, but he's going to be able to use a putter. That's a superb shot. To the 18th.
And love for birdie. Can he do it?
Would that have changed things around?
You said it, Kenny. So hard to read. And that's why you look back a year ago and still are amazed that Mark O'Meara made that putt. Through the years, so seldom does anyone make that putt from that side.
O'Meara was just a little bit shorter than that, which allows it to go. But coming down that hill, it's just about a straight putt. And after seeing the slope in the middle of the green, you think it has to go to the left, and it will not. And it's one of the most difficult putts to read.
Final round 71. He has posted 2.82. Aggregate -6. Runner-up here in 95. Who will forget the par at 13, the birdie at 16? And he felt he was born to win this tournament. Born the day after the 64 Masters was Davis Love. And let's go back out to 17.
Greg Norman, just 116 yards. Tony Navarro very close at hand for any last minute advice. 3 behind. Desperately needs a birdie. Certainly no guarantee of a 2-putt for Jose Maria, but putting generally one of his strengths. Great drive down the left center of the fairway, allowing him some angle on the pin around the bunker.
Easy ball.
As if it was drifting left with the wind. And that back left corner, that's where the pin was on the first day. Runs away from the hole. Runs to the back, and an unlikely birdie putt coming up for Greg Norman. Greg and Jose Maria, great respect for each other. They've played a number of times, a lot in Europe. Greg Norman, 6 years a pro, playing around the world before he joined the PGA Tour. Patrons always appreciative of a past champion, whether he's from the United States or overseas. I think they recognize what Jose Maria has gone through, as well as Greg Norman. 3-shot lead over his playing partner today.
A reminder, 60 minutes will follow, except for those of you on the West Coast. Those of you just joining us, it has been some day of high drama here in Augusta. Greg Norman took the lead ever so briefly back on the 13th when he holed a putt for eagle. But it appears right now, should Olazabal go on to win it, the defining moment of this event would be the birdie putt. Olazabal hold right on top of him at 13.
Answered the call, knocked on the door, and they walked right in.
Peter, from the back of the green, just how difficult is it to two-putt from there?
Well, it is quite difficult, Jim. It's mostly uphill. The first 2/3 of the putt will be uphill, and then it flattens out. But this, as I say again, usually we pay quite a bit of attention to the experience necessary to play Augusta National. This is a very unusual pin placement. I don't think anybody's seen this before. Slightly uphill, putting back into the sun. 82 putts for Jose Maria through the first 3 rounds. That's just one more than 27 a round. So he's been very efficient. He's missed his share of the greens, but he's made a lot of up and downs, and that's exactly what he did in 1994. Remarkable play around the greens. 3-shot lead over Greg Norman, 2-shot lead over Davis Love. So 2 putts allows him some latitude at the 18th, would allow him a 2-shot lead with 1 hole to play. Little wind against as well. Perhaps he made some allowance for that. Well, now slightly, perhaps a fraction downhill on the next putt with the wind behind, the screen baked. So Greg Norman. There is still a chance. Jose Maria by no means a tap in for par. Greg, this can take him to 6 under alongside Davis Love. And Jose Maria hit a horrible tee shot off 18 yesterday. Trying to play safe with a 3-wood, crashed in the trees. So this might make up for the lip out at 15. And the very difficult putt that was left at 16 after that excellent iron shot. Almost. And it's almost as if he says, not again. So close, but yet so far. And let's watch Greg Norman. It had a chance. We've seen this reaction before. It had a chance. Could it just catch that left-hand side? Anguish. Still 3 behind. Well, still putting to do for both players on the 17th green. Tears in Jose Maria's eyes. 4 weeks after he came back at the beginning of 1997, he won a tournament in the Canary Islands, playing 44 bogey-free holes to hold off Lee Westwood. And he had 3 putts to win from about 40 feet, and he was standing on the last green with tears in his eyes. He didn't know whether he was ever going to play golf again when he was being misdiagnosed. But fighting fit now. Needs a delicate touch, but the wind's buffeting him on this elevated 17th green. What a stroke. What a stroke. 2-shot lead, 1 hole to play. What a stroke. And a slow walk off the green. That took a lot of courage. Concentration, determination, fantastic. Well, Greg has not given up yet. Stay at 5 under. In it goes, and we'll go to Bill McAtee in the Butler cabin.
Well, thank you very much. I'm actually just off the 18th with Davis Love. Congratulations, well done. What were you thinking after the tee shot at 16? And of course, you made the wonderful recovery.
Well, I was trying to just make a par and, you know, hopefully somehow make a birdie on one of the last 2 holes and let those guys deal with those 2 water holes at 15 and 16. And, you know, Greg found a little problem, and Jose made the birdie at 16 that looks like sealed it up.
With so many players in contention, how difficult was it out there to follow everybody's progress?
Well, I was trying as hard as I could not to follow everybody's progress, and I told my brother Mark, caddying for me, that I'm just not going to watch the leaderboards. And then on 7, I said, "Hey, we're still in this." He goes, "I thought you weren't watching the leaderboards." And I didn't watch them as much as I have in the past, and but I knew, you can hear on the back 9 what's going on, so no real need to look.
All right, Davis, once again, congratulations. Let's send you back upstairs to Jim Nantz and Ken Venturi.
All it will take for Jose Maria here is a bogey to win. A second green jacket. It was really a remarkable par yesterday that in fact could have been a birdie.
He played a brilliant shot after hitting a horrible tee shot. Hooked it, crossed over down there, and he's played some brilliant shots. The shot he just played at 17 was, as Peter Ustas was saying, probably people with 9 irons couldn't get it that close.
60 minutes will follow the Masters, except on the West Coast.
Well, he's got a little cushion after making that pressure putt at 17, but as you said, Jim, the one that really was the hummer was when he answered the call at 13 and he made that long putt for birdie.
Jose Maria, who's had many chances to play the American Tour full time, but says the main reason he doesn't feel at home like he does back in Europe. It's only natural, but he's very attached to his family back in Spain. And everyone approves.
And well, they should.
When Greg made that putt at 13, Kenny, I know how excited you were. The moment, it was just a heavy moment. Would you ever believed he'd come to 18, 3 shots behind?
No, I didn't. I thought it was going to come right down to the wire because they were just against each other, and they were right. I mean, they're right on track. He's hitting this tee shot, but he knows he can't win, and it's another disappointment for him.
And bunker.
Bunker play.
It appears it'll be Olazabal again here in Augusta. Let's take a look at some of the scores here, Kenny. Bob Estes, Steve Pate bogeyed both 16 and 17. David Duval had it to 5 under today through the 10th hole.
And look at that. Double bogey and 3 bogeys on the way in from number 10.
the top 16 in ties, formerly the top 24, now top 16 in ties, get the automatic invitation to the 2000 Masters. For Brandel Chambly, a bogey at the last hole leaves him just one shot out of that automatic invitation. Bill Glasson as well.
Freddie Couples closed with a nice 71. He just couldn't really get it going on the week.
The Ernie Els score, a surprise today.
Well, you could go to the bank on that one. You wouldn't bet that.
And Sergio Garcia, is this a day to celebrate for Spain? Garcia, the low amateur of the four to make the cut here. Tom McKnight had defeated him at the United States Amateur last year in the semifinals. Matt Kuchar again into the weekend. And Trevor Immelman, a 19-year-old South African, also made the cut. Jose Maria, he's always had a sterling record here. The third best all-time scoring average with a minimum of 25 rounds. And for the 9th time in his last 10 Masters, he will have a finish inside of the top 14.
That's quite impressive right there. But Norman says he loves it here, and the players that seem to do their best never say anything about pin placements or conditions or what they do. They accept it, and that's why they play well here.
147. I just like the solid 9. You can hit away with that.
He's given him the yardage coming over the bunker, and that is the main yardage you have to know. The shot must clear the bunker. That's all you're thinking about.
Brendan J. McCartain is Olazabal's caddy. This will be a special walk up the 18th for Jose Maria, given that in the summer of '96 he couldn't walk for a 2-month stretch.
Another 10 behind it before the step. Yeah. 69 to the top of the step on those towers.
Wind picking up a little bit. It's directly downwind, which makes the shot a little more difficult. But that bunker you see right there in front of him is the one he's most concerned about. So I would say a little bit right of the hole between the tower and the flag would be ideal.
Stays up.
It's a good thing he played to the right, because with that shot that would not have cleared the bunker.
That was about a foot away from rolling back some 20 yards.
I was surprised to see that play being that short there. But he was wise to go the right side, but
it looked heavy.
It really did.
And now Norman.
Lip and get it in there high. Downwind though.
Stay left.
And the right side as well.
Good shot out of there, Greg.
That was from 138 yards right there.
You will hear an ovation to salute a champion, a soon-to-be two-time champion of this event, and also an outpouring of support for Greg Norman, who was undoubtedly the sentimental favorite all along Augusta this week. Jose Maria waits for Greg Norman to join him so they can walk stride for stride.
Very, very close friends. It is something. That shows a lot of class right there. That shows what sport's all about, and I tell you what, that should make you very proud. That should really keep you proud. Walking side by side.
Olazabal, 33 years old, intensely private, still lives at home with his parents, which he noted is something that's not uncommon in Spain. Has his own section of the house there where he feels as though he lives alone, his own lounge, his own bedroom. He can watch television or exercise or listen to music. But spends, of course, a great majority of his time away from home anyhow. But that's back at the place where he learned to play golf, just yards away from the 9th green, putting green, Royal San Sebastian in the Basque region in the Pyrenees. And now Greg.
Parr will finish him at 3rd all by himself. Or if he chips it in.
Could join Love right here.
Oh, brilliant try.
You know, you look at Greg Norman, Jim, and I'll tell you, a man who handles defeat with class, you're looking at him right there. He does it with humility, and he is really a gracious person like that. He is I take my hat off to him, and you still did yourself proud, Greg.
You really did.
Look at that. That's what it's all about. Goes by and pats him on the back.
And there were those who said he would never be in this position again after what happened in '96. And if we learned anything today, it's about Greg Norman. His career is far from over.
Oh, he stays in such good shape and trains and works hard, and he'll go as long as he wants to. Boy, the way that Olazabal got started this morning with that shaky start, you thought you never dreamt at that time that he'd be right here in this position.
He never felt really, Kenny, the first 3 days that he was playing all that well, just scoring well. But he certainly righted it. And he has the luxury of being able to 3-putt and still win. Well, just 2 feet away from a winning total of 280.
He would like to have left that a little closer so he could just tap it in. It's the kind when you have, you know, a 2-shot lead and you have 3 putts to win, you really want to 2-putt it at the worst.
Quite a week for Spain. Low amateur, low player. Seve celebrated a birthday here on Friday. And now Olazabal will join his boyhood idol with a 2nd green jacket here in just a moment.
And it wasn't long ago that he never dreamt that he'd ever play golf again.
He was concerned if he'd ever walk again. Unflappable. Olazabal has a 2nd green jacket.
And look at this, the first one, look at this. They're 2 great friends. Isn't that marvelous? And you know that Olazabal is close to tears because of what has gone in the past. Congratulations, Jose.
Final round 71. At one time, we had a 5-way tie for the lead, and it did not include Olazabal. But what resolve he showed. And Greg Norman is there again to embrace a champion. with total class and support.
You saw it right there, Jimmy, and that really just makes up our game, and I'm so proud of it.
When we come back, our Masters scrapbook of 1999 and the presentation of the green jacket to Jose Maria Olazabal of Fuenterrabia, España, the champion here in Augusta.
Thursday morning, the tournament began with a golden hue. 3 legends on the first tee, Sarazen, Nelson, and Snead, all of whom imbue the spirit of tradition and heritage here. And the first shot struck by 97-year-old Gene Sarazen. The King, Arnold Palmer, set a record competing in his 45th consecutive Masters. When Arnold last won the green jacket in '64, Davis Love Jr. was a first-round leader. And Thursday, Davis III shared that same honor. His 69 was the day's standard, but wasn't reserved for just one. This is Nick Price displaying some precision golf at the 16th. En route to a 3-under par total. And Brandel Chambly showed skill and poise with a closing birdie and a 69 in his Masters debut. Late in the day, the skies opened. After a 90-minute delay, a refreshed Greg Norman showed his game and gusto had resurfaced. Friday began much like the first day had closed. There was a familiar face stalking the leaderboard. Greg Norman, unwavering in his approach, put the brakes on any questions about his resolve on this day. And U.S. Open champion Lee Janzen closed with a birdie to join Norman at 5 under. And then there was Scott McCarron, wielding his trusty long putter, a weapon seldom seen on these slick surfaces. But at the end of this rainbow putt, he found success and was in second position through day 2. Also on Friday, Matt Kuchar, the Georgia Tech junior who thrilled the galleries a year ago. He did it again, holding a bunker shot for an eagle and advancing 4 amateurs into the weekend. The leader, Jose Maria Olazabal, who matched his Masters best, 66, and positioned himself for a run at a second green jacket. Saturday, one player came bursting through and added an Augusta record to his resume. Steve Pate, with this putt at 13, made 7 straight birdies, a feat all of the legends who have competed here had never attained. There was only one birdie at 16, hard-earned at that, by Nick Price, and he was back in the chase. Ernie Els moved within 3 of the lead, looking for a 3rd major, and Davis had a momentary lead until a late double bogey at 15. But there were others who suffered bigger mishaps. Scott McCarron's miscue at the 12th led to a devastating 6. Greg Norman could have had a similar fate at the 12th. There was a 5-minute search that came up empty. The long walk back to the tee, and then this putt for bogey. A 4 to remember. He would end the day 1 back of Olazabal, who wouldn't relinquish the lead and who went into the night with a whole army of stars taking aim at the green jacket.
And then today, the leaderboard was so bunched at one time there were 5 players tied. And at 6:05 Eastern Time, Greg Norman took the lead with an eagle at the 13th. But just seconds later, Olazabal had a birdie putt of his own to match Norman at 7 under. That was indeed the defining moment of this tournament. Davis Love, though, tried to pull off some late heroics. And when you talk about a fertile imagination, just look at this play, off the slope, all by design. Maybe the greatest reaction Davis has ever had to holding a shot on his way to a second-place finish for a second time. At 15, Norman with a costly third shot out of the bunker, and the dreaded horseshoe resurfaced as it has so many times in his career. And at 16, Olazabal's birdie gave him some comfortable space. It wasn't to be Greg's year this year, but Olazabal was on his way to a second green jacket. So sturdy, so comfortable, so in control today. Jose Maria, who 3 years ago watched this tournament back home, unable to even walk in the summer of 1996. Never did he imagine that just 3 years later he'd win another green jacket. It was during that time when he wondered if he would even not only play golf again, but walk, much less. And he's returned to Augusta and triumphed again. Let's walk you through the finishing scores. 56 players in all made it into the weekend. And Jose Maria is at the top of the class for the second time in the 90s. The top 16 get the automatic invite to the 2000 tournament. And it took a score of even par to get that invitation. It was a blustery day, sending some scores soaring. Tiger had 75, and there were others. Sergio Garcia, at the age of 19, though, he was unstirred by all those wins today and shot 73, and he is indeed the low amateur here at the Masters. Out battling McKnight, Kuchar, and Immelman over the weekend. Let's go back outside now to the 18th and to Bill McAtee. Bill?
All right, Jim, thank you very much with Greg Norman, and just tremendous support from the patrons here at Augusta National all day. I know you felt that. The wonderful eagle at the 13th. When you get some perspective, the perspective of time, will you view this as a success that you got yourself into this position today, or a shortfall that you weren't able to win?
Probably a bit of both, Bill. I think more the fact of the success of getting back. I really feel like I'm back now. I feel like I want to get back and play a few more golf tournaments, play hard, and there's 3 more majors left. I know I can contend in those very, very easily now, and so I'm looking forward to it. So, but in hindsight, as you stand here right now, looking back on it, you'd like to say you could have easily won it. I was walking up at 18, and I saw Jose where he was. I said to myself, well, it was just as easy as that for him to win it, and it seems to happen that way. And I had my chances. The eagle on 13 was right there, but Jose made some great putts, great shots all the way around, and I got my nose just tied to the front, but I didn't get all the way there.
Greg, thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, let's send you down to Jim Nantz in the Butler cabin.
I think everyone saw it. Greg Norman did not lose this Masters. Jose Maria Olazabal won it. And we welcome you to the Butler cabin. I'm here with Joe Ford, the vice chairman of the Augusta National Golf Club. And at one time today, Joe, I didn't know how we were going to sort this out with 5 players tied.
Another exciting Masters tournament, Jim.
It really was. And we're joined here by Sergio Garcia, the low amateur, and Jose Maria is down here again to receive another green jacket. Congratulations. Thanks. And Mark O'Meara will be here to present it. And as always, the amateur is such an important part of the heritage and tradition first started by Bobby Jones in this tournament.
It is traditional that amateurs play in the Masters, and Sergio, we congratulate you for being our low amateur.
Thank you.
Sergio, what was the experience like for you?
It was a great experience. It was the best experience of my whole career, and I think I played some good golf, and I had a good run today. but it was something amazing. I don't even have words to express that.
I heard you're turning professional. Is that true?
Well, I can tell you for sure.
Okay. Well, Jose Maria, I know Joe wants to say a few words.
Jose Maria, an outstanding performance today, and congratulations upon winning your second green jacket, second Masters.
Thanks a lot, Joe.
I can tell already how much emotion you're experiencing right now. Let's go back a couple of years, Jose Maria. Did you ever think you'd be back down here in the Butler cabin receiving another green jacket? And what did it take to get here?
Well, when the problems started, I still was positive enough to think that I would be able to play again and to win major events. But as the time went by, things got much worse, and I reached a point where I really had serious doubts that I would ever not just play golf, but the quality of life I would have in my future, you know. And to be here at this moment is very emotional.
The moment when you made the birdie on top of Greg's eagle at 13, that turns out now as the significant point of this golf tournament, doesn't it? How did you do it there?
Well, Greg hit a few good putts in a row, and as soon as he hit that putt, it looked to me like it was going to go in. So I made a point to myself that I had to make that one. I didn't want to go one shot behind him, and well, I made that one. I think that was a crucial putt, but I think just there was two very important moments on 16 and 17. Birding 16 and saving par on 17 after that tee shot. Just giving myself 2 shots cushion playing 18. That's what I was thinking about.
Well, I'm sure you can find room in your closet for a second green jacket because it's that time, Joe.
Mark, will you present Jose Maria with his second green jacket?
Be glad to, Joe. Jose?
Thanks, Mark.
You did a great job. Awesome job.
What a day for Spain, huh?
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations,
Thanks,
Chima. Way to go.
Thanks.
Chima, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And welcome back.
Thanks.
Jose Maria Olazabal has won the Masters. And on behalf of everyone at CBS Sports, Jim Nance, good night from Augusta, Georgia.